Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch.
Most anticipated of 2024.
Hey, y'all. Hey. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura. And we're sisters who watch everything. TV, movies, sports, concerts, and even all the upcoming things in the next year.
Yes.
We love to watch, and we love talking about it even more. Today we're watching
the most anticipated content of 2024. That's right. All of the movies, TV shows, content we are excited for in the year ahead.
We're excited for it all. And last year, we did the same episode, so go check it out. It's combined with our worst content of 2022.
Yes.
And both of our number ones for most highly anticipated content was the Renaissance World Tour.
That's right.
That's right. And Mama, did it live up to the hype? It lived up to the hype.
It really did. Wow.
So, and Shelby during this time also predicted Barbie being so popular. She was like, I can't wait for Barbie. It's going to be huge. And no one else was expecting that except for her. So,
that's right.
Listen, this is an important episode. Listen up.
This is an important podcast episode. We give recs. We give our anticipation. We are just ready. We pay attention. We're excited. You want to hear what we think. Get you ready for the year ahead.
And all right, Shelby.
Yes.
Give us your number 5.
I will kick us off. You know, I love a good movie, and I'm curious about this one. My number 5 most anticipated of 2024 is the Joker sequel, Folle Adieu. Clearly, my French is awful. Don't judge me.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried.
Petty.
Yeah, I did go to Paris in 2023, but did not learn much accent-wise or phrase-wise, but we're doing our best. I did enjoy the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix from a few years ago. It was dark, but he acted amazing in it, right? He ended up winning an Oscar for it. And I've always liked, kind of the Batman Joker stories. I think it's a really good character. So I'm curious about the sequel and the fact that they have Lady Gaga in it playing Harley Quinn.
What?
Crazy. Yes.
I did not know that.
You didn't know that? Yes.
No.
Lady Gaga is the co-star to Joaquin Phoenix.
Bizarre.
And if that doesn't entice you, it's also a musical.
I think I did hear about that.
Don't really know what that means. A Joker sequel musical with Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. It just is giving so much confusion and chaos. And I'm so curious. Like, I feel like I have to know what happens in this movie.
I am perplexed. But intrigued. So
right? I feel like there's a lot of pieces. You have good actors, right? Strong auspices, strong IP in Joker. I think the fact that it's a Joker, so a DC movie. I think the fact that you have talent, including Lady Gaga, people are going to come see this. I think people are going to be intrigued. And similar to like Barbie, I feel like when the Barbie trailer dropped and like people saw dancing and singing, they're like, wait, what's happening? I feel like Joker could also be a moment like, what's going on? What's this movie about? It comes out October 4th, 2024. Pencil that into your calendars, people. October 4th. I feel it. It's giving like this movie could be big.
I think I did hear about this musical. I did not register to me that Lady Gaga was also in it.
She is.
I mean, I feel like we're going to see it. We're going to see it, right? So I'm intrigued. We'll see. I'm confused. So we'll see. Okay, good pick.
Thanks. What's your number 5?
Okay, so my number 5 is Wicked Part 1. Comes out November 27, 2024. So there's been a lot of, drama with this movie too, right? It's been pushed, and production had to be stopped, and there was like overhead like pictures of the set looking like it was in shambles.
Uh-huh.
Starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande.
Great
Um,
cast.
I mean,
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. I mean, the Ariana Grande controversy. So if y'all don't know about that, Ariana Grande was married and
Mm-hmm.
she recently separated from her husband, Dalton Gomez, I believe, because she left him for her co-star in Wicked. I forgot his name, but he plays SpongeBob on Broadway, and we saw him play SpongeBob on Broadway, which is such a fun fact I love to tell people. I saw Ariana Grande's new man on Broadway as
We
SpongeBob,
did.
and he was great in it. So he's very
We were.
talented.
Yes, he can sing.
And yeah, SpongeBob also left his wife partner to be with Ariana Grande. So that's a whole mess around the movie. Production got pushed back. So there's a lot going on with the film, but regardless, we're fans of Cynthia Erivo. So talented. Loved her. I first saw her in Harriet, and she was
She was
so good
so
in that.
good.
So,
Her
so good.
performance of the song Stand Up, so
Love
good.
that song.
It's like the main
Love that.
song. I think it was nominated for Best Original Song Oscar. Like, it's so good.
Yeah,
And her voice, so powerful. Like, she's such a good actress.
I know. So, and plus, Ariana Grande, she has a great voice. We haven't seen her act a whole lot recently, so I'm intrigued to see her in it. So, let's see. I think it'll be an intriguing film. I don't think it will be bad. I would be surprised if it's bad because we loved Wicked. We saw the musical growing up.
For your
So I'm
birthday,
looking.
remember?
Yes, I do remember. So I'm looking forward to it. If not for anything, Cynthia Erivo, we're a fan, and just the drama itself surrounding the movie. I'm into it. I'm into it.
So we're aligned because Wicked Part 1's my number 4.
Oh, hey.
Look at us having some overlap. Like you said, Wicked is a really great musical, still on Broadway, something we saw as kids. I was blown away. For those of you that don't know, it basically focuses on the Wicked Witch of the West story instead of, the Wizard of Oz. It's all about Dorothy. Like, what happened to the Wicked Witch? Why can't we learn more about her? So it's really clever looking at like the villain and trying to learn more about her. And the music's amazing. Like, I remember after seeing it on Broadway, I was like, I have to listen to all these songs on repeat.
Right?
And I am curious though about a few things. Like, I'm excited for it, but I'm curious why there's a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1's supposed to
Right?
come out in 2024. Part 2 is supposed to come out in 2025.
Huh.
Not
Okay.
the biggest fan of part 1 and part 2's. And
No.
recently, with Mission Impossible: The Reckoning Part 1 coming out, that wasn't super well received, that there would be a part 2. Spider-Verse sequel that came out in 2023 ended on a cliffhanger, and we're like, wait, what? They didn't make it clear there's a part 1 and part 2 thing. Like, so I think there's some sensitivity around part 1 and part 2's. So I think that's an interesting choice. I also feel like recently musical and like theater adaptations have not done that great. In the
Mm-hmm.
Heights came out a few years ago and underperformed in the box office. Just a lot of musicals have not been performing as well. So I think that could be a concern. But Wicked is truly one of the biggest like musical theater IPs that's out there. So I have to
Yeah.
think hopefully people would come out and support it. But there's definitely not as much support or like steam as there was decades ago when you had like Hairspray and Rent and Mamma Mia in theaters and people came out and saw those and they crushed. It's not the same era. So I do
No.
think that's a concern I have. And lastly, the drama, like you said. I love some drama. I remember seeing Don't Worry Darling in 2022 because of the drama. I was like all the Harry Styles spitting and all it just I had to see the movie. But sometimes drama can backfire. So I
Right.
need to see, Ariana and SpongeBob live up to the hype in the movie. Like, I hope they're really good.
Right. They better be for
They,
blowing up their
right?
lives.
I hope so. So I do think that is going to carry over it. But nonetheless, I am excited. Big fans of Ari and Cynthia Erivo. We actually saw Ari in concert right before the pandemic. She was so good. And I think it's a great musical. So I am excited for it.
Should be good. Hopefully. Let's see.
Fingers crossed. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. So Furiosa is the prequel to Mad Max Fury Road that came out in 2015, so almost 10 years ago. And I remember when it came out, we loved it. Our family loved that movie.
Yes.
Everyone was talking about it.
Charlize Theron, Tom Hardy, really good cast.
Yeah, that movie was a moment. And this prequel is exploring Charlize Theron's character, Furiosa, played by Anya Taylor-Joy.
From Queen's Gambit fame.
Yes, and the dinner movie with
The Menu. Why do you always forget what it's called? Because you really liked it, and I feel like you never know what it's called.
I know, the Menu. Movie. It was good. Yes. Anya Taylor-Joy from The Menu, the movie title I never know, but did really like. And we just loved Mad Max Fury Road so much, and it was so well done. So I'm intrigued to see them explore more of Furiosa. And of course, Anya Taylor-Joy, she's the it girl now. She's in everything. Yes. I'm not particularly a huge fan of hers. I think I'm pretty indifferent, but you know, she's a good actress, so let's see.
Yes. Laura, I'm actually surprised because, you know, Mad Max was kind of action-y, you know, a little thrillery.
Yeah.
Not your typical cup of tea.
I do enjoy an action movie. It just, like, has to be well done. And I remember really, really loving Mad Max Fury Road. So, if it's anything like that, I'm excited.
Now on to my number 3. Woo! Number 3 most anticipated. Drum roll. Thank you. It's Mean Girls.
Whoa!
Woo! First of all, it used to be called Mean Girls the Musical. They took that out of the title because I think they're not trying to sell it's a musical. But we know it's a musical if you had been paying attention.
Everyone knows it's a musical.
I know. What? So I don't know. Basically, same thing happened with the Color Purple movie that came out in 2023. Like, they're taking the musical out of titles because they think that might deter people from seeing it. That's happening at a lot of companies because they're concerned musicals deter people from coming up to see movies. Wonka's a musical. People don't know that from the trailer or from the title. They don't want you to know that going in. It's strategic, but if you know, you know. Most people who are excited about it know that it's a musical and that it stars Renee Rapp, who's a singer. I am excited for it. Mean Girls was an iconic movie from our childhood. And it's still relevant today. I feel like everyone's like, on Wednesdays we wear pink. And references come up all the time. And I feel it will always be that like iconic movie. So I think it's smart that they're adapting the musical. I also think it's smart that they have Renee Rapp as Regina George, who's like the new it girl. She was on Sex Lives of College Girls, so that's how Laura and I knew her. And she was one of my favorite characters on that show. It's sad that she's not going to be on season 3. Don't think that show will do well without her, if I'm being honest.
No. And honestly, Sex Lives of College Girls season 2 could have made my worst content list. Honestly,
I honestly forgot about that show. It was not good.
It was not good.
It was not good.
So, already the show is on a decline. So without her, I'm concerned how it's going to be. And did you know that Renee Rapp played Regina George on Broadway?
I did. Yes. So it's awesome that they have her on board for the movie because she clearly knows the role well. She crushed it on Broadway. And I just think that's going to be a moment as well. It comes out January 12th, 2024. I hope you all wear pink to see it. Like,
Barbie
it's
Part 2.
Barbie Part 2, literally another
Literally.
cultural moment. I'm here for it, excited about it. And I will say, if it was just a reboot, I don't know how excited I'd be, right? Because there's reboot galore these days. But the fact that it's like the musical adaptation, I think is interesting and like a slightly different, take on it.
Yeah.
So I'm more intrigued. But if it was a reboot or like a sequel with like the older, characters like Lindsay Lohan or Rachel McAdams as like parents, I'd be like, oh, but they're not doing that. They
Yes.
are having like a fresh kind of musical spin, which I think is smart.
Yeah, I'm excited. It should be good. Okay, so my number 3 is Deadpool 3, coming out July
Wow.
26th, 2024.
All these action movies, Laura.
Yeah, I think that Deadpool is
Ooh,
probably one of the most successful Marvel franchises.
interesting.
And it's always a really funny movie. And I think we need new life in Marvel. We need something to resurrect the MCU. As we talked about in our
Mm-hmm.
Marvels episode, it feels like a lot of it's kind of tired and all the references are really exhausting. And like you said in our worst content episode, Loki is just too confusing. But I feel like Deadpool is a straightforward, funny, comedic character, and the movies are always good, right? So I'm intrigued. And as we talked about, I think in our Marvel episode, Hugh Jackman is going to be in the movie.
Yes. So this is gonna
Yes.
be the first like Deadpool movie since the Disney and Fox merger. And maybe this is like a little too inside baseball for y'all. But basically, Marvel has deals historically with a lot of different movie studios. So it had a deal with 20th Century Fox, which no longer exists and is a part of like Disney when they bought it a few years ago. But historically, 20th Century Fox had X-Men and Deadpool. So they weren't a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that Disney created because they were owned by a different studio. Same thing with Spider-Man initially, right? Like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, that's something Sony owns. That's a Sony property. So Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man weren't a part of it until the Tom Holland Spider-Mans, Disney Marvel and like Sony Marvel were like, let's collaborate. So that's the only reason why Tom Holland was able to be a part of the universe. But now that Disney owns those historical Fox properties, Deadpool, Wolverine, X-Men, they can now be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I think will really help. And like you said, Laura, like bring new life and excitement to the Marvel universe. So I'm curious to see.
Totally.
Deadpool 3 didn't make my list, but I agree. That's one I'm curious about. I also think it's like a more hard R, edgy, witty superhero franchise,
Yeah.
compared to like Avengers and some of the other Disney ones. So I'm curious to see how it goes now under the Disney brand. Because historically, right, it's a bit more, I don't know if it's been rated
Edgy.
R, but it's a bit more
Yeah, it's
gritty.
been rated R.
Yeah, it's a
It's
bit
been
more
rated R.
gritty and sassy, and Ryan Reynolds has his comedy. That's a little different. But I've enjoyed those movies too. So I'm curious to see how this one is.
Yeah, me too. So let's see. It's anticipated. I think it's going to be huge. Everyone's going to be seeing that movie. So
Yes.
should be good. Should be good. Okay, what's your number 2? Getting down to it.
Getting down to it. My number 2 is the return of a show that we haven't had in a minute. And I know we both watched the show. And I'm just really excited because the last season we had was in 2022. So it's been too long. My number 2, most anticipated, is Hack Season 3.
That's my number 2.
Yeah, of course it is.
Oh my gosh. Twins.
So let's talk about it together. It's coming,
Yeah.
in spring of 2024. Hacks. Did I put you on the show? I don't know, but I was like,
did.
I was telling people about it. It's on Max. And it is so funny and
So funny.
witty. I'm excited to have Jean Smart and Hannah Einbinder back on our screens. Their
Yes.
chemistry is so funny. And I remember season 2 ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. So I'm curious to see like what happens. I honestly might need to rewatch the first 2 seasons before season 3 comes out since it's been so long.
Shelby, tell us what Hacks is about for the people who don't know.
Yes, happy to. So here's the logline, people. Explores a dark mentorship that forms between Deborah Vance, Jean Smart, a legendary Las Vegas comedian, and an entitled outcast 25-year-old, Hannah Einbinder's character, Ava.
Ding, ding, ding.
So funny. It's a dark comedy set in Vegas. Don't feel like a lot of shows are set in Vegas, so that's honestly super interesting.
No.
And it's hilarious seeing the balance of, right, like a legendary comedian who kind of knows the industry, thinks she's really funny, and this up and coming comedian writer who's trying to figure her life out and needs a gig and is trying to like give fresh advice and thoughts to this legendary comedian. Like they're always at odds, and it's hilarious. So funny.
Yeah, I totally agree. I had it as my number 2 as well. It's just so funny. And I think this was on our best of 2022 list. So make sure you check out that episode to hear our thoughts on season 1 and 2. Yeah, it's so fresh. There isn't really a show like it.
No.
And it's woman led and it's so funny. It's cool seeing the coming together, the bridging of 2 generations, right? Like a millennial, and someone who's a lot more seasoned and wise, and kind of seeing the clash between those generations is very funny. So yeah, and the scenarios that they're put in are just so good, and the cast is great. Everyone, the supporting cast, the assistant, her name Kayla,
Megan
she is
Stalter.
so funny. Yes, Megan Stalter. Her Kayla is so funny. I love her. So every character on the show is so good.
So
every single
good.
one.
And it gives a funny look at like what it's like to be a comedian and go on the road and have a show and deal with agents. Like it has, I feel like, funny LA comedy takes too, which is always
100%.
fun.
Amazing. Okay, before we get to our number 1s, what were your honorable mentions most anticipated for the upcoming year?
So my honorable mentions are 2 returning seasons. The first, of course, is Abbott Elementary season 3.
Of course.
If we haven't talked about it enough, here we go. We really do like Abbott Elementary. I think we've been missing it. Very excited that it's coming back this spring, February 7th, 2024. It will be back on our screens, premiering with a 1-hour episode.
Ooh,
we
1
love
hour
to see it. Extra special for us.
Oh, yay. I'm excited.
So I'm super pumped about that. Cannot wait. And just ready to have Janine back on my screen.
Come on, I'm ready. Let's go. February 7th.
Yes. And my other honorable mention is Bridgerton season 3. I really like Queen Charlotte. Hopefully you listened to our Best TV of 2023 episode. That was on there. And I've been split on the other 2 Bridgerton seasons. I'm not convinced about this new season, but I am curious. The reason I'm not convinced is because it's supposed to focus on Nicola Cotton's character, Penelope, who I didn't really like in Bridgerton season 2. And Colin basically friend-zoned her. And it's hard for me to see them becoming a couple now. It doesn't seem very believable. So that's my concern. But hey, I'm a Shondaland stan. I watch all her stuff. I'm curious to see how they put it together. Another concern or issue is the fact that they're going to make it 2 parts. Classic Netflix. They're trying to drag it out. There's a part 1 dropping on May 16th, and then part 2 dropping on June 13th, 2024. So we're going to have to wait a month before finishing the season.
I know that you're into Bridgerton. I did not watch season 2. Probably
Which
will
I
not
told
watch
you
season
to.
3.
Season 2 was good,
I
Laura.
know. I just don't care
Listen to
enough.
me.
I know. So I probably
Listen to
won't be
me.
watching season 3, unfortunately. But
It's okay.
yeah. Okay.
What
Good
are
picks.
your honorable mentions?
So, my first is Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. And let me tell you why.
Okay,
Because
I'm curious.
we reviewed Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and we had very mixed reviews. I thought the movie was good up until the cliffhanger. I was really disappointed by how it ended. I was not expecting it, and it just felt so unresolved. And we didn't know it was a part 1. So I did not like that. But I do think that this series is good. And I think that, God willing, this is the last of the parts, right? Watch out if there's like a part 3 or something. But I think that resolving all the chaos and the story from Across the Spider-Verse, I think that I'm really intrigued to see how it concludes. Because it left on such a cliffhanger and I was like, what? Like, how does this end? So I want to see how it ends. So I'm intrigued. I'll be watching it. Because I like the movies, but I just did not like the cliffhanger.
Okay. Curious.
Disagree.
No, I am just surprised. I feel like a lot of your picks for most anticipated are actiony sci-fi. I'm like, wow, Laura, I love this for
Sci-fi.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Switching
I
it
guess
up.
so. Okay, so my other honorable mention, I was looking at all the things that were coming out next year, and I saw that this was coming out, and I was like, what?
What is she gonna
So
say?
my second honorable mention is Gladiator 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
It
Coming
almost
out
made my
November,
list. Yeah.
right? Coming out November 22nd. I saw that and I was like, what? This movie came out in 2000, the original. And I
Classic.
remember it's a classic. And
We've
our
seen that
mom,
movie a lot as a family.
right? And our mom loves that movie. So we grew up watching it a lot. And a sequel 24 years later, what is going on? So I'm really intrigued.
I co-sign. I agree with that one. I am also particularly intrigued because of the cast. Like they have Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, Barry
Classic.
Keoghan, Paul Mescal. I'm like, you're basically picking very trendy up and coming actors, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
like Denzel, who's like the guy. Like you
Oh,
have a
yeah.
stacked cast. So I'm very curious on how it all comes together, who's playing who. But just based on that alone, and the fact that Ridley Scott's back to direct it, I'm like, okay, sign me up. I'll be there. So yeah, I
Right?
almost had it on my list, but you gotta make tough choices.
Yeah,
But
you
that's
got to decide.
definitely one I'm excited for too.
Totally. Yeah, the cast is absolutely wild. I'm very curious how this is going to turn out. So, November 22nd, get excited. Okay, Shelby, what's your number
Yes, my
one?
number
Number one thing you're
one.
looking forward to in 2024. What is
Yes.
it?
It is a movie that was supposed to come out in 2023, actually,
Oh.
but was pushed to 2024 because of the strikes. It
Hmm.
is Challengers.
Zendaya.
Zendaya. Where Zendaya stands over here. Big fans.
Oh, yeah.
And this movie, for a lot of reasons, I'm excited for. It stars Zendaya. Love her. It's
Queen.
directed by Luca Guadagnino, who directed Call Me by Your Name, which is one of, I think, the best movies over the last, that came out in 2017, 2018. So, one of the best movies, I feel like, in the 2010s. And it's also like a romantic dramedy, thrillery about tennis. And I love tennis. And I'm like, romance, check. Comedy, check. Drama, check. Thriller, check. Tennis, check. Zendaya, check. I'm like, oh my gosh, so many checks.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. It just
Perfect
has
for
so much
Shelby.
that I'm looking for. Also stars Josh O'Connor from The Crown, and he's really good in that. So I'm curious to see him in this. And then it stars Mike Feist, if I'm saying his name right, who played Riff in West Side Story, and he was so good in that. So I feel like they have like a good young cast, and I'm curious to see how they all play with each other. So I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a good movie, interesting movie. And I hope it just lives up to the hype, because I feel like the fact that they pushed it through the strikes, I think it's because they really wanted like Zendaya to promote it, and they wanted to make sure they were able to get like big marketing, big support. So fingers crossed it as well.
I'm not surprised that's your number one. So we'll probably be reviewing that.
Yes, we should.
Zendaya. Okay, my number one is Mean Girls, quote, the musical, parentheses. Shocker. Yeah, I think already it's getting a lot of buzz. Everyone's very excited. I don't know why they wouldn't promote it as a musical. I think Mean Girls, the musical, sounds way more interesting to me than just Mean Girls.
I think musicals are polarizing. A certain demographic, maybe it's middle America, maybe it's men, they're like, oh, I don't want to see a musical. I don't want to see singing. And they're just going to X right away. So they're hoping if people just see Mean Girls, oh, it might get, the random person who's hesitant to see it. I do think, though, for a certain demographic, right, like young women, millennials, musical theater buffs, if it said Mean Girls the musical, they'd be so stoked and probably even more excited about it. So I think it's an interesting choice, but it's strategic to try and make sure they have like the widest kind of funnel. They hit, the most people.
I get it. But I'm excited that's a musical. If it was just a Mean Girls reboot, I mean, I'd probably still see it, but I wouldn't be as excited. I'm excited to see the musical because I heard when it was on Broadway in New York, I heard great things about the musical. So I'm excited that they're doing the adaptation so that we can see the musical.
Yes.
And I mean, Tina Fey, iconic. She never misses, honestly. So I think really that it'll be good. It'll be good. And Renee Rapp is blowing up. Everyone is talking about her. Everyone's talking about her. She's touring right now. And I know several people who have seen her in concert and say that she's amazing and has great solo music. She is the moment right now. So happy for her. She's just blowing up. Absolutely blowing up. So highly anticipated. And like you said, Mean Girls is so iconic. The amount of times it's quoted today in pop culture is so
crazy.
Absurd. It came out over like almost 20 years ago.
2004.
Yes, it's so bizarre that it's still so popular. And I remember last year at my job, at my office, they held like an October 3rd watch party for Mean Girls, and everyone was wearing pink, and it was just... people are still so obsessed with the movie, and I was watching it. I was like, wow, we quote so many things from this movie that you don't even know. Like, crazy. She doesn't even go here. You go, Glen Coco. You go. All this stuff. On Wednesday, we were pink. Like, it so much of it is quoted. Crazy. I don't realize, like, Get In Losers, we're going shopping. So much stuff is from Mean Girls. It's insane how iconic it is and how quotable it is. Things that you didn't realize were quotes from Mean Girls are from Mean Girls.
It's true.
So good. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. It'll be good.
Yes. Love that we had that overlap. It's going to be a good one.
Yes. Well, I think we both had great lists.
We did.
I feel like it's gonna be a big year for movies. I feel it.
I know. I'm telling you, movies are back. I feel it. The tide is swinging, right? We had the era of peak TV. I think that bubble's bursting, and it's coming back to movies.
I know. We had mostly movies on our list this year. So interesting. So if y'all enjoyed our list, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you stream podcasts. 5 stars. That'd be so appreciated. Thank you so much for your support. And make sure to give us a follow on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn,
Mhm.
wherever, every social media, we're there. And subscribe to
Instagram, we are there.
we are there. And subscribe to our YouTube channel at Sisters Who Watch.
Yes, we want to hear from y'all. You can DM us on social media. You can also email us at sisterswhowatch@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your support. We're super grateful.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Stay watching.